for a long time, I didn't take a regular paycheck. I didn't take regular money. Everybody else got paid before I did. And, it was tough. And with this profit first system, it makes sure that that doesn't happen. So I would start that from the beginning. And then the other thing I would absolutely make sure I do
You
is,
suddenly lose everything. You lose the law firm, all of your clients, your marketing budget, your reputation. None of those plaques and awards on the wall mean anything. And you only have 30 days to get it all back. That is the topic of today's Lawyer Marketing Show. I'm Dustin Sanchez. You're watching DustinSanchezTV.com. Let's get into it. Welcome to the DustinSanchezTV.com Lawyer Marketing Show. Today we have an interesting question. What if you lost everything? I have on the show attorney Aaron Miller, who is estate planning attorney extraordinaire out there in Plano, Texas. And everyone knows that most businesses crash. Most businesses fail in the first couple months, or at least the first year. But Aaron has been surviving and thriving for many years, and I think he is someone we could learn from. Aaron, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself for us.
hey, Dustin, thank you. Appreciate you having me. Yeah, like you said, I am an estate planning elder law attorney in Plano, Texas. I've been practicing law for over 20 years, got my license in 2002. First started doing litigation, so I tell people I've made the world safe for the big five accounting firms for a long time. Um, I can't remember now. I think 2009 I switched over to estate planning and really have loved it. It's really cool to make a difference in individuals' lives and families. It's something I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, big need for elder law and estate planning attorneys. I mean, heck, I need one myself right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So the
It
premise of the show is, what if you lose everything? Okay, right now when did you start Miller Law Office? What year?
So I first went out on my own in 2007, and I was doing litigation there. Switched over to estate planning in 2009. Kind of for different reasons, I changed the law firm in 2014. So technically, this law firm has been around since 2014.
Okay, and you've been on your own since '07.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then, as I've mentioned earlier, most businesses fail in the first year, something like 90%. You can ask
Wow.
ChatGPT. I just pulled that out of my mind, but it's a big number. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think you're too far off.
okay, so you've made it. You are where most attorneys want to be. Your name is on the door. You got massive amounts of incoming every month. You got new clients, and I want you to tell us how you did it. And we're going to have these restrictions. What if you had to start over from ground zero, and the only thing you could bring with you was your brain? All right.
Yeah.
So day one, you wake up. Not a great day. You're starting all over. What are you
Yeah.
thinking and or doing on day one?
So if I had to start all over again, what I think I would start with, actually, I know what I would start with, is I would sit down and I would spend some time trying to decide, what do I want? What do I want in terms of business, finances, wealth, family, relationships, health, friends? I think that most people don't spend enough time thinking about that. I think that most people just kind of go through life. Things happen to them, they react. But if what's the saying? If you don't know where you're going, it doesn't matter, where you go. But if you have a goal, if you have some ideas in mind, that you'll get there faster. So that's the first thing I would do is I would sit down and spend some serious time thinking about it. There's a Keith Cunningham is an author, and I just blanked on the name of the book, but he advocates something called think time. And think time is where you spend about 45 minutes and you think about a problem, you think about different solutions, you just spend some time thinking about it, and you write. And so what I would do is I would start that. I would start thinking about, oh, If the Road Left Stupid, that's the name of the book.
Okay.
Um, I would think about, what do I really want to happen? So that would be my first thing, is just, where do I want to go? What do I want to do? I love being an estate planning attorney, but the question would be, is that what I want to continue to doing? If if I lost everything, maybe there was a reason why I lost everything, and so I got to look at it and say, is that something I want to continue doing? Um, Continue helping those type of families, or what? So that would be the first thing: is, what is my goal?
Very smart. Great minds think alike. Uh, Very coincidental that you and I are wearing maroon today.
Yeah, yeah, that was not planned.
But all of the gurus, right? All the success people say begin with the end in mind.
Right,
Tony Robbins has that ultimate success formula, and step number one is know your outcome. And some people say spend an hour sharpening your tool and then 10 minutes doing the job.
right.
I would venture to say the vast majority of people, law firm owners, and have not sat down and done that, right? They haven't had any think time or wrote down, like, what is my goal? What do I want? Uh,
I never did. That was when I switched from doing commercial litigation to estate planning. It was more of, what can I do, and what's the very next thing. It's not, what do I want to build, what do I want my life to be like, what do I want my family to be like, that kind of thing. And I think that, had I done so, I would have gotten where I am now a lot sooner, and I could be a whole lot farther ahead than I am now.
yeah, that is great advice. Everyone should kind of take note because nobody has said that in this podcast series yet. I think you're interview number 7.
Oh, okay.
Nobody said goal setting, or a lot of people have said decide if I even want to be an attorney. I've done it
Mm,
before. I don't know if I would do it again. But you're very wise to say, think about how you want your life to look like. What kind of quality of life do I want? What kind of work schedule do I want? Uh, Almost like you're defining your why in some regard. You're defining your outcome, your goal. But business is hard. Lawyering is
yeah.
hard. And you got to know where you're going and why you're doing it, because there's going to be days upon days that you're ready to quit.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Yeah,
what
the
else?
the why is huge. Yeah, it's not just what you want, but why you want it, because the why you want it is what's going to get you through the days when you might not otherwise feel like getting out of bed, or you feel like your teeth has been kicked in every day for the past week or whatever. Um, the why is going to carry you through, but definitely, I think you need to have a roadmap and an idea of where you want to go, um, before you even start.
Great. I'm gonna have my editor call that the roadmap portion of the video.
All right.
But what next? What are you doing next? You've sat down. You've done kind of the road mapping, the brainstorming, the plan.
Yeah.
What are you doing next, brother?
I mean, it really just depends. I think you mentioned earlier, some people don't want to, not sure they want to be a lawyer. Some people may want to do something else. And so the next step is going to kind of depend on what that is. I love being a lawyer. I like helping people. But one thing I would look at is this the type of law that I want to continue doing? Each type of law has got some pros and cons. For example, estate planning is something that people could put off unless so they've got like a dire health emergency, or something, or maybe something's happened to a family member and they realize, oh, I really got to get this done. I think some legal services might be an easier sell than others. So that would be something I would look at too. Is just what is it that I exactly want to do? I would still do estate planning. I enjoy it, and like helping, and elder law as well. And just so everybody's on the same page, elder law is, how I define it is if someone gets sick and needs help in a nursing home, needs help paying for care, an elder law attorney can help get qualified for government benefits. And I only mention that just because I know a lot of people aren't aware that there's some benefits out there. But What I would do is, you know, assuming I want to stay in the law, assuming I want to stay as an estate planning attorney, the next thing I would do, and this is a lot of think time. I think to me it's important to kind of to guide where you want to go. The next thing I would do is sit down and define who it is that I want to serve. The going down to how old they are, where do they hang out, what type of things do they think about. I've gone so far as to name mine. A lot of people hear that as a client avatar. So because what's going to help is when you focus on your marketing as talking to that person, so that when you market to them, they go, "Oh, he's talking to me." You really make a connection with them. And I don't think you can do that as well unless you know exactly who you're talking to. So that would be the next step, is define my avatar.
Okay, now it sounds like in your marketing material, you make your marketing material for and you call out your exact client. Like you're narrowing down to, this is who I want to be my client. A lot of
Absolutely.
people will be afraid to do that because
Yeah.
they don't want to exclude. They want to throw a broad net. Like, talk about your theory there.
Yeah, so I understand that. When I first started, I'm like, I don't want to exclude anybody. I mean, estate planning, and everybody needs estate planning, right? But the more you're able to connect with somebody on a deep level, where they go, yeah, oh, he's talking to me. That's he's talking to me. I want to go work with him. The more you do that, the more you're going to be able to. The more clients, the more people will come to you. Yes, you're going to exclude some people, and that's okay, because we're not for everybody. I have people that I love working with, and some people may not like working with me, and that's okay. But the people that I love working with, I really love working with them. And so I want to bring in more of those type of people. So I think, yeah, it's scary, but it's important, because at the end of the day, in the long run, you're going to be more helpful to people. You're going to draw more people in. You're going to help more people.
Great. I want to drive this point home because, the reason you're on this podcast is because I've watched you over the years and you've done it. You've been successful. And I don't want the people watching this show to miss what you just said because it's counterintuitive.
It is.
You cannot, no marketing is going to work if you try to market to everybody. uh, Grab your courage and narrow your focus as to who you're speaking to and targeting in your videos, in your articles, in your paid advertisements, in your branding, what have you.
Yeah.
Even some of the
And,
best authors, they're like, I wrote a book for me and my friends, and the whole world loved it.
yeah, yeah. And I'm still maybe too broad. I mean, you could get really, really narrow. I mean, I could be the estate planning attorney for doctors, or help business owners. I particularly help. I guess it's is narrow. Seniors, people who need. Are concerned about government getting qualified for government benefits if they get sick. People who are concerned about um, maybe their son-in-law or daughter-in-law they're not too fond of, and how can we make sure we keep that money out. So those are the type of people that I work with. But yeah, you could really hyper focus.
Yeah.
And what's the saying, there's riches and niches. So if you're um, the asset protection attorney for doctors, then you're going to be the one they know and they refer to. It's counterintuitive, but it really is an advantage.
Yeah. And of course, the important part is that you go through this mental exercise of deciding, who am I talking to. Now when you actually do start marketing, the words you choose may be a bit more broad, but one of the most important parts of sales and marketing is that if you can clearly define the problem your potential client is having, they will believe you have the solution. And
Yeah.
the only way for you can't define everyone's human experience. So if you narrow down who you think you're targeting, you can get to know all of that person's problems, like it's easier for me to know exactly the challenges lawyers face than it would be for me to know the challenges plumbers face, plastic surgeons, lawyers, dentists, so in your mind, I do want to encourage people who are watching you on this podcast to do what you did. Go through this mental exercise of narrowing down who you want to work with and how you want your life to look and your law firm day to day to look. Because
Yeah.
you do have to define some kind of outcome before you start
Yep.
making a plan.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the next step after that would be, where are they? Then you got to pick, what type of message do I need to send them? What type of, where do they hang out? What things do they read? How do I get in touch with them? And then just work on messaging to them. Would test different things. But the next step is, let's get the phone to ring. So it's start marketing, start working on that, getting people to call, because we got bills to pay.
Okay, so next is get the phone to ring. Now, what
Get the
is the
phone
first
to ring.
marketing strategy you're going to try out?
Um, I think the first thing would be, if in this premise, if I still had contacts, I would reach out to them.
Okay.
If I didn't have any contacts, then I would go and start meeting people. Early in my career, I was told about a book called Endless Referrals by Bob Burg. I recommended for me to read, and it was an amazing book. I have always been a bit of an introvert. I have I guess a learned extrovert tendencies, and so I have to, right? Otherwise, what's the saying? Timid salesmen have skinny kids. I have to go out and talk with people and meet with people, and that was a book that really helped me do that. Helped me learn how to network, how to talk with people, and it was kind of fun. It's a game I have. Is when I talk with people, I try to find out as much as possible about them without telling much about myself. Because at the end of the conversation, they're going to go, "Oh wow, that was a really great conversation. I don't know what you do, but yeah, I really enjoy talking with you." Right? They're going to remember you. So the next step for me would be finding out where they are, finding out where my clients are, um, finding out who they talk to. So in my case, a lot of my referrals are financial advisors. So I go out and meet a lot of financial advisors and talk to them and explain to them how I'm different than typical estate planning attorneys. For example, a lot of times financial planners or financial advisors are sidelined. They'll bring in an attorney, and the attorney just kind of poo-poos them, or maybe doesn't let them know what's going on. And for me, I really appreciate the team approach. When I can work with a financial advisor, we can really create something cool that we may not be able to work to put together on our own. So I really like working with financial advisors. So that's one of the things um, that I think differentiates me in their mind is I consider them a team member.
Okay, this is a very good idea too. There's this concept of one to one versus one to many.
Mm-hmm.
And one to one would be you going out and trying to find people who need an elder law attorney today, right? Like, let me go find my potential client. One to many is you going to network with financial advisors who are one layer removed from your potential client, but each one financial advisor may know 30 of your potential clients, so you've gone
Yeah.
one to many. What other referral partners are good for estate planning attorneys and elder law attorneys?
I've found that uh, other attorneys are really good, particularly family law attorneys are really good for estate planning attorneys, because once they get a divorce, then they need to have an estate plan. I mean, obviously everybody needs one, but you really need one then because your safety net is going away. You don't have a spouse that uh, could have access to your funds. If something happens to you, you don't have somebody who can make medical or financial decisions for you. So you really need to get something like that in place. Or even what happens to you, who's going to take care of your kids?
Mm.
So those are really good. I've had some success with CPAs in the past as well. One of the biggest referral sources for us is past clients. They come in, they do great. We do great work for them, and they refer to other people. One of the things we do along those lines, and if we're starting from scratch, I would absolutely make sure that I do a print newsletter. I've got a print newsletter now,
Wow.
and every month I get comments. Oh, I love your newsletter. We don't talk about anything legal technical. I clients don't care. What they want is the connection. And so our newsletters, we've got the front page is always some story, and it's usually about something that happened to me when I was a kid, or something that happened to my kids, or sometimes we'll bring in some of the other folks in the office and talk about what's going on in their lives, and it's really important to clients, at least my clients, to have that connection. And there's like a recipe and a Sudoku and some other information on that. And they get that every month. And that is something I would absolutely make sure I continue. Um, I have not I've had an email newsletter in the past. Personally, every day I get probably 300 or 400 emails a day. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
And I think that gets lost. So particularly my demographic, my clients, they like to have something and that they can hold in their hands. And so I would continue to do that as well as make sure we have a print newsletter.
This is awesome. Okay, real quick, I want to circle back to this book, Endless Referrals by Bob Burg. Was it Burg?
Yeah, Burg, Burg, Bob Burg. Yeah.
Burg. I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah, it's an older book, but still available. In fact, I often give those um, when I meet. A lot of times, financial advisors are starting out; they're talking with people, and I'll often give those to them because it's made such a big impact in my life.
Okay, great. So that's almost a networking tool. Every
Oh yeah.
networking partner you meet, you give them that book. Now you're training them, I guess.
Well, and then here's the other thing I like to do, and I don't think this is in this book. I don't remember where I learned this, but what you do is you open it up to the first blank page, and you say, "Dear Bob, I really enjoyed meeting with you yesterday. Uh, we talked about this book. This is a book that really changed my life. I hope it does the same for you." Sign your name, you give it to them, mail it to them. It's not something they necessarily expect, but then you've got that. You're in top of mind on them. Maybe they're just starting out and they don't have a whole lot of clients, but they're going to remember you.
Yeah, okay. Great, man. Um, I do want to cover this print newsletter, but before we get to that, can we circle back to just the networking method that you use? You just said you were going to do some networking, but what does that look like?
So what I would do is reach out. Either I would reach out, or if I had staff like I do, I would have my staff reach out and say, "Hey, um, Aaron would really, as a estate planning attorney, would really love to talk to you about how we can help you." My goal is not how they can help me, but how I can bring value to them. One of the things that I do is a lot of times they might have some sort of legal question, and they probably should go up the ladder in their own system, but maybe that takes time, or for some reason they want to do it, but they can call me and I can go, yeah, this is what I think. It's just an extra resource. So it's something that I can give them that's of value. And I think that's really the mindset to come with is how can I help them? And so I'd reach out to them, set up a coffee, set up a lunch, set up maybe just go meet them at their office, and just keep at it. And what I would do is, if we had a great meeting, well, even if we didn't, we have a meeting, I send them a thank you note. Thank you for sitting down and talking with me.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that you're reaching out to financial advisors, like you're just cold calling them, or what do you? How's the reach out
If if
process?
if I'm starting from scratch, yeah, yeah. If I'm starting from scratch, in the past, I've had particularly financial advisors within the same organization. They might refer me to other financial advisors in their same organization, but in a different geographic area. So, like, hey, I was working with Aaron. Uh, my clients love him. I think you ought to talk to him as well. So, yeah, I definitely would leverage that if I had that available. Is who else can I talk with? Who else would make sense I could help?
Okay. Any other networking, offline networking, before we talk about this newsletter?
Yeah, one of the things I did when I started is going to a lot of chambers of commerce and Lions clubs. One of the things that I would also do, I don't know if this is really networking or if it's something different, but also give 15 20 minute speeches on estate planning, and that has led to a lot of business over the years because not maybe they need an estate plan, but they've seen you talk. They know you are an articulate individual. And that leads to, oh, they must know what they're doing, and they will have other people, particularly those type of people that are in those Rotary clubs, Lions clubs, things like that. They're business owners and they know other people, so it's a way you can kind of multiply your presence pretty rapidly, because you speak to 20 people. How many people do they know?
Okay, so some kind of speaking engagement. If you wanted to systematize it, where are you finding these speaking engagements? Who are you talking to? How could you make 20 of them happen in the next 2 months?
That is a great question. So in the past, I have used some services. That's what they do. Is they I don't remember how much I've paid, but basically their job would be to go out and they help me create a presentation, and they would go out and they would find me some places to speak. Nowadays, I would probably just jump on Google. I would say, okay, what are all the Rotary clubs? What are all the Lions clubs? What are all the chambers of commerce in the area? And I would either personally, if I didn't have a staff, or have somebody reach out to whoever's in charge of programming, because they're always looking for people who can speak to them. And yeah, and I would just fill up the calendar.
Okay, so the thought process is either what group are a bunch of my potential clients in, or what
Mm-hmm.
group are a bunch of my professionals who are one step removed from my potential clients in.
Absolutely.
Then go to Google, search for those groups like chambers of commerce near me, Rotary clubs near me, and then
Yeah.
find a point of contact, cold call or cold email, and ask if you can come talk. Is that how it works?
That's essentially it. Yeah, yeah. If they say no, we're full up, then there's always other people to contact.
Okay, and then if I wanted to fast track it or outsource it to someone, I could probably search Google for like speaking engagement service near me, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't remember how I found the one that I had, but that's probably what I would look for. Yeah.
Okay, and then when you go to these offline speaking engagements, like you're talking at the Rotary Club, what do you do there? Do you like bring handouts, or what do you do to maximize the effectiveness of this opportunity?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I definitely bring handouts, at least something with my name on it. Maybe the seven estate planning documents everybody needs, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Maybe just like a flyer, or maybe I bring some. In the past, I've brought like um, not really a blank sheet of paper, but essentially something they can take notes on that's got my name and phone number on it.
Okay.
I try to gather their contact information. They don't always let me do that, but if they do, I will, and then I would definitely follow up with them, put them in some sort of follow up sequence, and with Go High Level or Mailchimp or whatever. Mailchimp, because I think it's still free.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be something like that. Just to try to keep in touch with them. I still have people on my. I do have an email list, but I don't use it as much as I need to, but or should. But I still have people on my email list that they showed up at a presentation I did 12 years ago,
Wow.
and eventually they'll call us, and it's interesting. Not really the same thing, but I was in a magazine that I actually paid to be in, and it was about 5 years later. a lady had called me from that magazine. She had ripped it out of her magazine and put it on a refrigerator. And one day after 5 years, she decided now was the time to call. So you don't know how long any of these are going to last. So it always pays to follow up with them until they tell you, I don't want to hear from you anymore.
All right. When you're at these speaking engagements, do you have any, and you need to gather their contact info, do you have any tips and tricks, like, in the online marketing world, where like, download this free ebook in exchange for your email address? Like, do you have any tips and tricks for gathering their contact info so you can follow up later? Or you just like ask them, hey, if you want to hear from me, give me your email?
I've done both. So sometimes, depending on the context, like if you're speaking in front of clients of a financial advisor, um, they're used to signing in. And so you just pass around a notepad or a sheet that they can sign in. And sometimes like Lions Club and Rotary Clubs, I've done that in the past. I've also done, hey, if you want to get this free guide to the 7 steps you need for an effective estate plan, I'm just making something up. You can do that well. I've seen some really cool things. I haven't done this, but like scan this QR code, or where they can sign up on their phone. I think that would be pretty cool. I haven't done that, but I've seen it. Some really cool stuff with like they'll have a picture and there'll be a sign, and it's personalized with their name. So you can go down a lot of rabbit holes for sure.
Okay, yeah, I've seen like these little, like, they're like, if you go to a restaurant, there's a tent on the table, a little,
Yeah,
got a QR code, and when you scan it, now they've got your cell phone in their uh, follow up
yeah,
bank, and they can text you back, and
yeah,
that is a good idea.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, very interested in this offline newsletter, because you're right. I'm an email expert, and I get 40% open rates. 60% of
Yeah,
people don't even open my emails.
yeah.
Tell me how this offline print newsletter works. What's the process?
So I cheat a little bit because I've got a service that helps.
Okay.
Um, Newsletter Pros, who I've used them for probably 8, 9, 10 years, something like that now.
Newsletter.
The way their process works is they send me a list of particular potential topics for the next newsletter. I'll look at that. Usually it's a holiday. There's some sort of holiday or something going on, and I'll look at that. Not, it's been so long now that I've probably talked about most of the holidays that they give me, and I'll go and I might do my own research. So, for example, a recent one was Manatee Day,
Okay.
and um, a few years ago, my youngest daughter lives in Orlando right now. She works for Disney, while she's finishing up school. And so we went there. And most of the time we go to the parks and we want to do something different. We went to go to about an hour and a half away to a state park that had a bunch of manatees. So I was able to talk about that. And it's a type of, and so how it works is I would tell a story to a ghostwriter, and they would type it up, put their own spin to it. Sometimes I give more detail than others, and then I'll get it back. Um, I don't like to leave things alone. I tinker with it all the time. So they'll send it to me. I'll rewrite it. Sometimes they're like, yeah, they didn't quite get it right, so I'll change some the facts that were accurate.
Hmm.
Or sometimes like I just don't like the way that was said, so I'll tweak it. And then it goes to the company. They put it together. They've got some other information. Like I said, they put a recipe. I ask them to put in a Sudoku. Or I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's a number thing. Clients love it. Then there's some other information in there as well. And what I tell clients is, look, if there's something super serious that I think everybody needs to know about, and it's I know about it a month and a half ahead because that's about what the lead time is, then I'll put it in the newsletter. But most of the time, it's just interesting information. And I think and the reason why I do that, I don't put legal information is I want it to be interesting. I want people to look at it
Hmm.
every month. And that way, at least once a month, I am top of mind. But that's if I was going to start from scratch and didn't have the money, what I would do is I would do it myself, and I have done it myself in the past. Sometimes I do it completely from scratch. Sometimes I have subscribed to some services that give you articles that you can kind of like a library of articles that you can pick and choose and put in your newsletter. Um, yeah, it's but definitely I would have a print newsletter if I was starting from scratch.
Okay, that's a very good idea. Let me just break that down a bit for the viewers in review. Uh, my dad is 80. He loves
Mm-hmm.
Sudoku. So what you're doing is you're just including stuff that your potential client would be interested in. Not
100%.
everyone who has a newsletter is going to include a Sudoku or
No.
Sudoku. I don't know how to pronounce it either.
Yeah, you too. You're right. Yeah, I don't know.
It is very smart that you don't have a newsletter about like, I don't know, how to pass your stuff down to your grandkids without
Yeah.
paying taxes. That nobody wants to, take a estate planning test when they read your
Right.
newsletter. So that's something I'm going to incorporate into my print newsletter is no legal stuff, no marketing stuff, maybe. And then,
You might be different because it's more business to consumer or business to business, but for business to consumer, I think um, more interesting. Now I take that back. I did have one lady,
mhm.
one client who asked to be taken off the list, and that's because he never talks about anything legal related. Okay. One out of right now, I think I've got like 16, 1,700 people on the newsletter. So
Wow, man, I am definitely going to do this. Okay. I want to point out the importance of top of mind. Like, not every one of your marketing efforts has to be, I need to convert this person into a client. A lot of times people aren't getting referrals because their own friends and family just aren't thinking about them. And
yeah.
so it is important once you start a relationship with someone to have some kind of a CRM, like a relationship management. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what this newsletter sounds like. It fixes part of that. It's a solution to that. You're just staying top of mind. You're not necessarily saying buy from me or hire me. It's just this is what Aaron sent out today.
Yeah. Kind of like, hey, you remember me? Because I've had so many people come to me. Somebody else has done their estate plan and they couldn't tell me who their lawyer was. I don't want that to happen to me. The other thing that's like a knife in my heart, thankfully it doesn't happen too often, but somebody will come to me for their estate plan and they get sick or they get sick and need to go to a nursing home and they go, oh, I didn't know you helped with that. They called somebody else. Like, oh my, that kills me. So the more I can be in front of them, the more I can be in their mind, the better.
Okay, I think we're coming to a close here. Do you have another? You really dropped two giant knowledge bombs with this newsletter and with your networking methods. What other thing can you help us out with here?
Two things real quick. I would from the beginning start with the Profit First system.
Okay.
Profit First is a book by Michael Michalowicz. I think if I was starting from scratch, it would be a whole lot easier to implement. It is an amazing system because it helps make sure that you have a profit. Make sure that you make money. For a long time, I didn't take a regular paycheck. I didn't take regular money. Everybody else got paid before I did. And, it was tough. And with this profit first system, it makes sure that doesn't happen. So I would start that from the beginning. And then the other thing I would absolutely make sure I do is document my systems so that when the time comes where I can hire other people, they know how to do it. That's something we're still, and that's going to be an ongoing thing. That's something I've got several systems. I'm working on more. Working on refining the systems that I have. So those are the two things that I would add for sure.
Man, I can't believe you said profit first. Right here, profit first for real estate investors.
Yeah,
But I work with a ton of attorneys, and many times their marketing's going great. They're getting phone calls, but it's their personal finances that
yeah,
ruins the whole business. And I really
yeah,
think every new business owner or entrepreneur should read one of those. I know there's probably profit first for law firms, profit first for SEO experts.
yeah.
Just
Well,
look.
Michaelowicz is got a good gig licensing it out, but I start with the original, and
Okay.
it's and I'm sure the other ones are great too, but at least the original. It explains the system, explains how it works, and it's not. It's for business. You can use it in personal as well, but it's really for business and making sure that you have something at the end of the day.
Yeah. I made really good money for 2 years, and every day I'd be like, where's all my money? Like,
Exactly.
at the end of the month, I have no darn money. And then I
Yeah.
implemented that system, and it's like, now that I got my personal finances in order, I see where my money is every month.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nobody's
Exactly.
talked about, you had two firsts so far.
All
Nobody's talked
right.
about getting your, that profit first system. I would definitely do
Yeah.
that. And then documenting your systems so that you can train the people you hire.
Absolutely.
And that's an ongoing process. Like, the
100%.
moment I get someone trained, Facebook they change their entire ad system, and it's like, But
Yeah. Yeah. You do. I mean, there's some things that are outside of your control, but at least you've got a system, and you could create a system for creating more systems and use them.
well, listen, thanks for your insight, Aaron. Thanks for coming on the show. Where can we find you if we need an estate planning lawyer?
Well, my website is aaronmillerlaw.com, AARONMILLERLAW.com. Our phone number is 214-292-4225. We are in the Plano area. That's in North Texas, but we really can help throughout the state. So, yeah, that's how you get a hold of us.
Great. You got any new projects you're working on that we can promote for you here?
Trying to think anything. I'm right now. I'm just working on systems, working on some marketing things, working on getting some more videos and things like that out as well.
Okay, brother. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
You bet.
Everybody enjoy this episode. Thanks for watching. Peace out.